Hi, I'm Cindy from bedancewear.com, and in this video I'm going to show you how to create this unique look of straps. So in the front you've got two straps, and then in the back you'll see it goes from crisscross to halter. You can take any sports bra that you have. You could even do it with a halter bra and just a few little simple things, either using the same fabric or you could use a coordinating fabric. It doesn't have to be the same. So if you're going to do it with the same fabric, make sure you can get extra of the fabric that you buy. Otherwise, you can take one that you have at home and just jazz it up a little bit by doing this with the straps. So if you're looking for something fun, sassy to do, this just might be the video for you. Okay, for this top, I'm using some different colors so you can really see where I'm sewing things together and where it's all put together. So on this particular one, I would definitely say put it on the girl. Don't use the Sharpie. I'm going to use it so it's really obvious, because if you use the Sharpie, that's it. That's where that spot's going to be. So in this one with the halter, we're going to go ahead and say, I think I want the strap to start maybe right here. And we'll fold it together and cut it so both sides are the same. And then I would definitely, like I said, put it on the girl. Find out what you want the straps to be, how long. Now I'm gonna mark on here room to sew the seam. So I have a 1/2 inch there. So I'm gonna place this right here. Now mind you, this is where I want it to be finished. So we're gonna give it the seam allowance on the top. So this blue line is where I'll actually cut it. The black line is where I want it to end up being once it's sewn. So we'll just match up this blue line, which is the finish line here, along with the black line. Now you can pin it if you want, and then I'm going to just bring it around. Let's see, put that there. And then let's go ahead and mark this so it's even. If you take it off and fold it in half, you'll get it exact. So I'm going to put that there. I want this nice and snug. If you just put it around, remember it's got to hold up. So if it's too loose, the top will start to slide down. So I'm going to put it nice and snug. And then mark that line. Now that was, and then the top one actually is the cut line. So there we go. I want to give myself some seam allowance on there. Now we just need one of those. So you see we have it so it wraps around the neckline and then has room to sew. So we have that. Then the next one, we want to give seam allowance. I'm going to put it on here. You can pin it if it's easier, and then we're going to want it to crisscross. Now same thing. Pull it a little snug, and then put it on there. And if you're trying it on the girl, ask her, does this feel comfortable? Remember, you're going to have room to adjust it. If you're uncomfortable with it, give yourself a little bit more room, because then you'll pin it on the girl and see using safety pins. Make sure it's comfortable before you sew it all the way down here. So let's see. I'm going to say right there. Then we're going to mark that and give ourselves some seam allowance on that also. So we're going to cut it like that. Now we'll want two exactly like this, because remember it's going to crisscross. Now in this I've used 3/4 of an inch elastic. So if I do give a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, but it's going to be folded over. So imagine if this is the fabric, the elastic will go in the middle. You don't want it to be exactly the same as the elastic, or you'll see elastic, it'll be sewing on the elastic, it'll cause all kinds of problems. So I'm going to give a 1/4 of an inch on each side. So if the elastic's 3/4 of an inch, I give a 1/4 of an inch, that's an inch. But don't forget about that it's wrapping around, so that would make it 2 inches I'm cutting the fabric at. So we're going to go ahead and take that strip. We're going to put it down. I like to fold it in half. It makes it easier to cut, but the only way that'll come out even is if the fold is even and this line is even where you're cutting. So we'll go 2 inches. And I can cut 2 inches very easy when I'm doing on this. You might want to mark it, because I can follow the grid and cut that 2 inch line. If you're not experienced at it, mark it. Don't take chances because your fabric could end up all wonky. And another 2-inch line. Make sure and hold it down. And we want one more of those for the halter. There we go. Okay. I am cutting it a little over. Actually, it's quite a bit over, but that way when I go to sew, I've got some room to play. Sometimes if it has to be exact, it can cause a problem. So we're going to take these pieces, all 3 of them, to the sewing machine. Let's go ahead and take the top off. And then we're going to go ahead and cut this and take it over to the sewing machine. It is going to be really easy. It just takes a little bit of sewing skills. And if you have any questions, make sure and ask me. So the way you finish this off is, I have the last one to complete around the neck. So I'm going to show you to take that strip we cut that's going to be covered in elastic. This is the right side, the side you want to see. You fold that in half. Now, remember how much your seam allowance is, because if you make it bigger or smaller, it'll definitely look different. And make sure and back stitch at the beginning and the end. Follow that seam allowance. Now, I'm not using pins. You might want to, because if this twists or anything, it's going to lay funny. But I don't need pins when I do it. I just make sure and fold it in half. Slightly hold it taut, both sides together, and sew. Some fabrics, you'll definitely, even I need to put pins in because they slip too much. And remember, underneath the feed dogs are pulling it, where the foot is not pulling it. So we will take this and now flip it inside out. You can use a safety pin if you don't have one of these tools. It's really easy to do with a safety pin. I have one of these little, they're like $2 at the store. And so now I'm going to, once I've turned the tube the correct way, because there's such pressure points, you want to make sure and have elastic in the center. Otherwise, it will just start to stretch it out. So something that happened here, this twisted a little. So I want to make sure this seam goes down the center back. Now we have our top that we cut. This is the cut line and this is the sew line. So the first strap I want to put in is the crisscross strap, the strap that goes back. It's got a funky edge to it. Okay, there we go. So we're going to pin that on there. So we have the top like this. We want to make sure that the seam is on the back side. And something you can do to make sure it's the right way is you just flip it up like that. Hold on to it, flip it up, make sure it makes sense. Have this edge to here. Now I'm using different colors so you can really see the difference in the fabrics. Pin that one down there. And then this one here. This is going to be the one that goes around the neck. Let's get the right end. Here we go. I'm going to pin that right there. Now this is not a spot you would want to hand stitch just because it's so much pressure on it. That's one thing you don't want snapping. So then I'm going to take it and hold it up and make sure, yes, that's where I want it to be placed before I sew it down. Now I'm going to go ahead and make sure and sew where that line is, that the seam allowance is correct. And I'm going to back stitch really good. And back stitch really good. Okay. So see there, it's sewn down really tight and it's right along that line. Now I'm going to take and just slightly miter these edges there, because then I'm going to flip it over like this and I'm going to top stitch it down just for some extra strength. And you don't have to do the straps like this. You can do other straps. You can do it however you want. But make sure that line is even unless you're going to cover it in rhinestones. And then there we go. It's top stitched all the way across there. And it's really, okay, so see how it's stitched across there? Go ahead and trim any threads away. Now I'm using different color threads and everything that I would normally use. That's the back side because I want you to be able to see where it is. But you really should use thread that matches the fabric so you don't see those lines. Now then you'll take the halter part of the top. I would definitely, if you sew the one side on, that's fine, and this last strap, but the halter and everything, I would wait to adjust the back till the end. So you want to follow this line, make sure it goes smoothly, and fold it under. And then put this other piece on and repeat that same thing on the other side. So there's your halter and there's your straps for the back. Once you have that, so let's sew that down real quick. Doing the same thing. Now for time's sake, I'm not going to do all the finishing stitches. Trim it away and miter it. Okay, now you have the halter neck and you have these straps. We're going to want to crisscross them. Try it on the girl. See where it looks best. Remember the shoulder blade, you don't want it to hit a spot where it gets tucked under and rolls. And then you're going to want to figure out where that strap goes. Pin it down. Now I'll fold this in half. Let's make sure they're in the same spots. There we go. Fold this in half. Then we have that pinned down. And I'm going to go ahead and lay it down and sew it from the top because then you can see it. So I'm going to follow the stitch line first. Make sure I'm back stitch. Then I'm going to go at the very top and cap that top edge so it doesn't fold over weird. And just like that, that's sewn down. And you just repeat that on the other side. And then there you go. You have the halter top with the crisscross straps. Really that simple. I know it seems like it's complicated when you see it, but once you break down the steps, it makes it super easy, and I know you can do it.
Thank you for watching our video, and if you enjoyed it, make sure and click here to subscribe because we're going to have some amazing DIY videos coming out. And if you want to get our free, complete dance costume DIY guide, click right here or go to bdancewear.com/DIY guide. And lastly, if you have any questions or ideas for future videos, please leave it in the comments below. Thanks again for watching our video, and remember, be original, be colorful, be dancewear.com.